All right. All right. All right. Hey everyone. Okay. Oh, come on. Okay. Hi Lee. Hi Phoebe. Hey Tsukabu. Hey San. Hey Misha. Hey Patricia. Patricia, I got your book. Ta-dee! I got it and I was leafing through it and the name sounded really familiar. So I was like, meh. And I checked our bookshelves and I found that I have another book from the same guy. And they're not the same book, which is pretty epic. Because that means it's twice the amount of gorgeous cat photos. Hey Alina, hey Mikey. Hey Kelly. Yeah, YouTube kept telling me that there were too many, I don't know, demands or whatnot, and I couldn't stream, and I was like, what? So yeah, so I'm really, oops, sorry about the noise. I'm really excited because I really love this photographer, Hans Sylvester. He's one of the 2 cat photographers that I like the most. So I'm really thankful. This is really nice. I'll take good care of the book. So thank you so much for sending it to me. It has found another good home. I'm so excited. Alright. I'm gonna put this aside for a sec. Yeah, basically Cats of the Sun. I also have some strawberry jello, so. Yep. Hi Malvina. Hey Kanimazzo. Yeah, it's a French book, but there's basically no text in it besides the foreword. It's just pictures. Yeah, I have a... Well, it's a category that I have a ranking because I have quite a few books by cat photographers, so... It's good reference. Bite me. Oh yeah, the photos are incredible. It seems to be a really peculiar relationship between Greece and its cat inhabitants. A bit similar in the way you have a very special relationship in Turkey with the cats and the Turkish people. I think I have another book by that guy. Oh no, visit. Salut. Qu'est-ce que tu fais? Qu'est-ce que tu fais, Boulette? Tu veux aller sur la chaise? Oui, toi. Coucou, Boulette. Salut, Boulette. Tu veux être la star du show aujourd'hui, toi? Hmm? Je vais passer, puis je vais te setter ça. Je vais te setter comme la star du show juste après. Square book. No, I don't think so. This is another one. It's quite different. Okay, it's good yet. Oops, not that. Doodling. Hey, c'est toi la star du show aujourd'hui.
Oui, oui. Oui, oui, Boulette. Et mon biscuitier.
Oh, tu es toute contente. Oh, tu es des câlins. Oh, Kitty wants some love. Tu as fermé la porte, hein? Tu as ouvert la porte? C'est pas complètement fermé, tu vas pouvoir te barrer si tu veux. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Qu'est-ce que c'est ça? C'est bon? Ah. Yeah, young animals have a lot in common with young humans. So yeah, this is a different one. This one has like quotes with every day. I think that guy has just like so many pictures of cats from Greece that there's really enough to make many books. Either way. Good stuff. Merci Peko. Quel merveilleux son. C'est quoi le plan là? Qu'est-ce que tu viens faire? Salut! Tu veux-tu...
Non mais où tu vas? Qu'est-ce que tu fais?
Hey shit. Ok. Allô?
Qu'est-ce que tu fais là-haut? Qu'est-ce que tu fais là-haut?
Hey baby.
Hé Pico. Lip, lip, lip.
Y'a pas assez de chaises pour tous les chats là. Hein? Mais qu'il y a beaucoup trop de chats ici. 12 books just on cats. Wow. Hey Lena. Hey Mikey. Hey everyone. Non? Fais pas ton affaire toi? Welp. There goes Scout. Hey Stevie, hi. Qu'est-ce que tu fais, Pex? C'est quoi le plan, là? C'est bon? She's back there. Oui.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais, Pico?
Tu t'en vas aussi? Ah! Pain in the butt. Pain in the cat butt. Needed to say animals that weren't on your naughty list. Well, mine won't count. Because they're being quite pain in the butt right now. Yeah, they're on my naughty list. I know they will be back. Oh, why? Wow. Now, Mr. E is having all the problems with the cats. Lunch was good, but eaten quite fast. And I'm eating dessert right now. Which is, yes, it is Jello. Which, kind of funny because it is Jello from South Africa. And I was like, what? Yeah, I saw that, Lee. That's really not good water for a cat. And now it's the laundry machine who's being naughty. What the fuck, là, tout le monde? Ah, je sais.
Ouais, elle a peut-être détruit tout mon chandail.
Recollet. C'est sur le top, c'est délicat. Sur un rose, c'est normal. Merci. I can do it. Oh, the Jello is really good. Good. Heather! Hi! Oh, thank you so much for stopping by. Right. Switching to the hot chocolate. The ceremonial hot chocolate. I don't think Otto is here. But we were quite laughing at that the other day. Like some borderline new age girl was talking about her ceremonial. Anyway. Cocoa, and I'm just like, yeah, well, I know of ceremonial matcha because there is a tea ceremony, so that fits, but ceremonial cocoa, that just sounds like something they can sell you at twice the price. Oh, hey Stephen, hi. Yeah, nutrition debate. I'm not big on nutrition debates in my chat because sometimes it's highly personal stuff, but yeah. Guys, Christmas is in like what, 2 weeks? Not even that. I can't. Wow. How did it went by so fast? Oh, did you put them up in the Discord, Heather? Oh, that's awesome, Tsuku. I love Japanese Kit Kats. They are really all over the place. Hey, Brenda, welcome. Step. Oh, with the Christmas thing? It's just so weird because no, we're not prepared at all either. Not one bit. Like, we were talking earlier and it was like, oh, we kind of didn't think about our gifts. And it was like, blah. You know. But yeah, it's... Holy crap, it's so soon. They have some Hokkaido melon Kit Kats that are really delicious. I really like melons like honeydew and cantaloupe, but it's really difficult to find them good and ripe here. Sketch ideas. Scout and Pecco shopping for Mom's Christmas present in an art shop. They would eat all the brushes. Basically. When do you celebrate Christmas? On December 24th or 25th? As a kid, the whole exchange and meal and whatnot was on the 24th. Hey, Otto! Hey, no problem. I was running late with lunch, so... I was thinking about you just a few minutes ago because I brought in my... what Nobi has hot cocoa, hot chocky. What was the terminology we decided upon? And then I was sort of explaining the silliness of the ceremonial cocoa, and it kind of made me laugh again. absolutely way too hot. It has vegan marshmallow in it. And they are the pumpkin spice Halloween marshmallow that I always buy a bunch of bags because they're my favorites. So they eat the brushes and Neuron drinks the paint water. Basically. Okay, let's still use that as a base. That's a really cute idea. So one could try to wrap possibly a gift. What are vegan marshmallow made of? I would have to check the ingredients list, but of course there's stuff like sugar. I think there's like tapioca thingy. They don't have exactly the same texture as regular marshmallow, of course. But regular marshmallow are made of mostly sugar and gelatin, I think. And possibly some other stuff. Yeah, this is real cacao. Is it cacao or cocoa? I don't know if I explained it here, but it's really confusing because in French we use cacao for everything that's the bean and the powder and all of that. It's cacao. There's only cacao, and hot chocolate is chocolat chaud, is basically the same thing. So we don't have another word that is confusing, but in English there's like cocoa and cacao, and I'm like, which is which? How do you... Oh, egg whites, that's true. Marshmallow have egg whites in it. I miss childhood Christmas when it took forever for Christmas to finally arrive. Now it... I agree, Heather, that's insane, right? As a kid, like, you cannot count the days fast enough with the advent calendars until it's vegans until it's Christmas. But as an adult, it's like you feel like you do a couple of things, a couple of chores, and then it's already the 25th, and you're like, when did what? What happened? Regular marshmallow are basically sugar and gelatin, so some sort of vegan gelatin substitute, probably. And egg white, yeah. So substitute for the egg white too. It's cacao because it drives me mad that they call hot chocolate cacao. Is it cocoa? Oh, anyway, blah. So yeah, but the ceremonial cacao thing. In the US, it's cocoa, I'm pretty sure. And I think sometimes they use cacao because perhaps they got it from French and it maybe sounds fancy or something. Cacao, raw, cocoa, roasted. Yeah, but we don't have that distinction in French. We would say like raw cocoa instead of like cacao cru instead of anything. Go in the US. Oh man, I love chaos. I don't know why, but Peko likes to do that too. And she's also an orange and white tabby cat. I'm pretty sure there's something amiss with orange cat to begin with. This could be like trying to package a gift and being awful at it because, like, you know, with all the pre-cut tape on your fingers and then you don't really know how to put them on the parcel. Oh, language is confusing, yeah, and if you know more than one, it's just worse. The more languages you speak, the more confusing it gets. There's quite a couple of things like that that are super extra confusing from French to English and the other way around. Cacao is at the L store and costs much more, quite possible. The impression that I had was that cacao was the powder and cocoa was the drink, like when you, basically hot chocolate. But this is, I hardly ever use these words, because when I talk about hot chocolate, I talk about hot chocolate in French, usually. So it's cacao and chocolat chaud. And that's it. The end. Oh, it's really interesting how it's grown on trees and everything. It's a bit of a bummer how we don't really take good care of that production too, but there is a really good rotten episode on Netflix that is about cacao, cocoa, the bean. Oh yeah, exactly, Mikey, rotten. It's been quite a challenge too, and I was so excited because, you know, in the video they talk about Tony's chocolate, which is one of the confectioners that they talk about as being one of the most respectful one of the whole process and the way the beans are grown and collected and, you know, processed and all of that. And I saw it then on one of my go-to places for ordering health foods. I'm not big into like spirulina and all of that, but since I cannot really eat dairy, sometimes there's a bit of an overlap and I can find some pretty good vegan things. Like that Jello before. That was a really good Jello, and it doesn't have any sugar in it. But it also doesn't have any bad sugar in it, like sugar alcohols or aspartame. It's sweetened with stevia. So anyway, long story short, I saw that one of my go-to websites has Tony's chocolate, and I was so excited. It's like coriander versus cilantro. Distinction only exists in some places. Yeah, that's true. I never thought a time would come when chocolate could be stressful. Everything is stressful nowadays, honestly. Oh no, allergic to stevia. That's not helpful. Well, I don't know. It's kind of a bummer because either you have Jello with aspartame in it. Do they? No, I think they still do regular Jello with sugar. Good old sugar in it. But yeah, it's a lot of sugar. So I wanted to try the one that was a bit less. It's also vegan, so they use carrageenan instead of gelatin. Yeah, there's regular sugar Jello, I remember. I checked at the grocery store. Jello is weird though. From what I remember, when it gets solid, there was always like a Jello skin, if I can say that, like a part of the Jello on top and on the edges that was really much more hard and kind of really chewy and weird. So I'm really glad that this fancy Jello doesn't have that. Really, stevia can cause kidney stones. Whoa. I don't know what it is. It was weird. I don't know if it was from perhaps You know, sometimes when I think my mom would sometimes put the Jello in molds, like for Easter you had egg and I don't know, like other shapes, and you had to oil those up. And I wonder if it's perhaps in the place where the Jello got thin and reacted with the oil. Anyway, I don't know. It was weird. Like I remember having a less favorite part of Jello, which is really weird. Not exactly a film, because, you know, Jello is basically the same consistency. But there was always a part that grew up to be, like, more dense and more chewy. So I don't know if it was because it dried out a bit or something, but that was weird. You film on pudding. Blech. What do they call it? Pudding skin? Yeah. As a kid, I think my favorite pudding was caramel. Yummy. Yeah, I think I can doodle that. That's kind of funny. Do they have to use less water when putting Jello in a mold? I don't remember. There's more than one, but I was watching a specific channel on YouTube where the guy opens up old cans and old food items that he finds at estate sales and all of that. So sometimes it's like old cans that people had in their basement and they got pushed on the back of the shelf and stayed there for like 50 years. And the guy finds them, he opens up the cans and like shows up what's inside, what it looks like now. Occasionally there's a couple of things that are still edible, either because they haven't been in contact with anything that could leach metal in them. Yeah, New England Wildlife, that's the guy. Or stuff that was kept in a way that would not, like I said, leach metal onto the food. And one of the times he tried to make something, and also you have to prevent moisture from getting in, but he found a box of celery jello from, I don't know, quite some time ago, and he tried to make it. It didn't quite work out as well, but it was a really funny video to see. Like, first of all, there once was celery jello, which, what? I have the same feed as you. So you guys' feeds are like cat stuff, old food stuff, and paint stuff. But he's a really fun guy, and dude, that guy has so much bravery for trying some of these foods at times. There are some pretty old stuff in there, and hold on, what was I mentioning? But yeah, and sometimes he visits like old abandoned places. I would really love to do that if I could. Like, there's not really anything like it here in Montreal, because this is way too big and way too urban, but I'm really fascinated with abandoned places, but especially stuff that has been abandoned in a way that's sort of frozen in time. So sometimes it's kind of sad, because some of them are stuff like Chernobyl, which is, you know, not happy, but other times there is this Japanese island that was completely abandoned, And it's just weird, like you see in the cases where people didn't pack, like you can sort of see what they were doing at the moment they had to abandon the place, assuming that no one has come in to mess up the place. It's kind of fascinating. I also feel kind of bad sometimes because in those there's more than New England Wildlife who does that. There's more people, but sometimes like they show a place that is really abandoned, and most of them have this approach of like, oh, I'm not gonna take anything, I'm gonna leave it exactly as I found it. And I find that really nice, I find that really respectful, but I also find it a bit sad because sometimes like there are things that could be given a new life. Like once it was just like a couple of pots and pans that seem in super good shape. Like it was this old sort of really white metal that they made pans of. And I felt that a bit sad because usually these places, they're demolished and everything goes in the bin, or they're used as practice for fire departments and they set the whole thing ablaze. And I'm like, this is just a bit sad because you could have safeguarded something from that place, from that person's life, and given it a new chance and a new purpose, a new use. And most people are like, oh no, I don't want to touch anything. I'm like, I totally get it as far as certain things go, but other things, I'm like, it's just a bit of a waste, you know? It's kind of wasteful sometimes. Like, I wouldn't mess up a place just to mess it up, but like if a place is truly abandoned and no one is ever gonna come for it, it's just a bit sad to, you know, I know if it was my place that was abandoned and someone came by and saw my stuff, I would much prefer they take it and do something with it than just leave it there to be respectful. I mean, chances are I'm dead. So I don't really care if you disrespect me at that point. I'm dead. The end. Like, it's over. So I don't know. Weird rambling. Perhaps I should talk about happier stuff. I tried to watch Schitt's Creek, and I watched the first episode and I was like, I don't know if this is for me. That sounds gross. Cats. All the cats. Cats and Christmas tree. Do you put up a Christmas tree, Heather, or is that something that is no longer done? Whatever. I haven't felt up to doing that in years. It's a lot of work, and I mean, I think this year it would be absolutely impossible with a cat like Chaos around. It's a good thing that you have puppies and not kittens, Tsukabu, because the kittens would take that as a challenge. Oh, you're putting gates around your trees and presents? Pfft, watch me jump over them. Challenge accepted. Hey, Steve! So nice to see you. We've been using these really awesome, you know, the ball warmer thingies. We use them all the time. They are so handy. Like, it's winter, so we eat a lot of food that is in bowls, and it's always super hot, like soups and stews and curries and all of that. So we've been using them a lot. It's a pretty awesome gift. Thank you so much. Hey, and Dr. S.G. Leinert. Chaos just came over and plopped down on the phone. He's so much like Linus, honestly. They're definitely like brothers from across the continent or something. Though I think if there were really a situation in which Scout had to handle scotch tape, she would probably try to eat it. Yes, Linus. Oh, I hope I get to see him soon. I'm really excited to discover if he remembers us or not. I don't have any expectations, but I'm really curious about this. Because, like, I really wonder just how far the sense of memory and recollection goes in pets. The turd plopped. It's such a good boy, Chaos. It's a bit like Linus, like they do really silly stuff, but they're so cute and like love bugs that you cannot really hold it against them. I really don't have any expectations. Like, it's not because like, oh, I don't want to be sad because it doesn't remember me. It's just like, I'm fully aware that it's a cat, you know, it's not a human. If it was a human and I had saved the human and it did not remember me, then I might be a bit offended, you know, but I'm aware that it's a cat, and I mean, just look at them. Definitely the brain is not the same size, and they don't have the same priorities, so, but I'm really curious to see. But see, that's the thing, like, we're like, well, of course he's gonna remember the one who took him in and brought him in from outside, but I'm like, that's a very human thing. So I really don't know. I bought some of the treats I gave him when I found him outdoors to bring along and possibly give him here when I see him, so maybe that will help jog his memory a bit. Wow, Neuron. I had a gray cat as a kid. That's why that reminds me of that, because Neuron is also gray. But he used to dislike everyone who would smoke. He would hiss at them and not want to see them one bit, but it was systematically people who smoked. So I think he perhaps associated the really awful smell of cigarette to these people, and he was like, these people can't be good because they smell so bad. So it was kind of funny. Yeah, I checked it out. Steve Murray says, viewed Otto's new video and she has had the same issue as myself with M. Graham's Cobalt Violet. I watched her video too, and after that I was like, I need to go check up on my tube of Cobalt Violet, and sure enough, it's rock hard as well. It's a brick. And apparently that's an issue that poor M. Graham had with one of the formulation of the color, which makes me kind of feel bad for them, because they're a really nice company. And it's not an easy task to sort of make do on all the faulty tubes of a very expensive pigment. Like, that's a bit of a stab in the kidneys. Yeah, I think it was something with the formulation, and I mean, all the cobalt colors are kind of hard to begin with. They dry kind of hard, so that doesn't help them. But this one is just like, I can grab my tube, but it is like in the same state as Otto's was. Like, it's just a rock, no give whatsoever. And I poured some once in my palette because, yeah, I mean, why not? But it is like absolutely solid. Hey, Susan, hi. A good incentive to quit smoking? Yeah, possibly. Really depends if you want to make friends with the cats or not. I know that personally I've never smoked, really. Like, I always thought it was kind of a strong smell, perhaps a bit too strong for me. And also, I have quite a few relatives that had really serious health issues because of smoking, so it kind of left a mark on my psyche. I'm always sad when someone tells me like that they smoke. I'm like, oh, but I don't want you to get ill because of it. I'm always a bit bummed, because I'm like, oh no, that probably means that, well, if it's a person I like, if it's someone I don't like, they can smoke all they want. But yeah, like, if it's someone I like, I'm always a bit sad, because I'm like, but please don't get sick because of it. That's just so sad. Best rewettable cobalt violet to use from dried tube paint is from Winsor & Newton. Huh. I wouldn't have thought. That's interesting. Hey, Dati. Yeah, exactly. Otto says, I feel bad that it's solid, referring to the cobalt violet. But I'm also relieved that I am not the only one with dried up cobalt violet. Yeah, that's basically the thing. Like, I feel sad for M. Graham, because they're really, really nice company. I think they're possibly the friendliest company I've like talked with. They are really, really kind. They are really nice, and yeah, they also, like, to really sell me on them, they have a cat on staff. They have an official mouser. So I'm like, oh, well, okay, there. You have me there. Hey, Ellen. Hi. Oh, enjoy your lunch, Phoebe. Yeah, it's possible, but I think there's really something wrong with the formula, like the ratios in it, because Otto did just that. She dug it up, she put some in a pan, and it doesn't re-wet well. So there's probably a problem of the balance with the gum arabic and what they put in the paint. It is so hard, like. My mom calls it death stick. Well, that's pretty much what cigarettes are. Sorry if there are some smokers in the chat. It's not about to make you feel bad, but... Oh no, I saw it on the news where a 16-year-old kid had been vaping and had to have a double lung transplant. Whoa, what? Okay, I will definitely write that down. Windsor and Newton Cobalt Violet. Quite unusual, but sure, why not? My mom is a chain smoker. Oh no. Yikes. Whoa, what? Okay, so Ellen says my grandmother did something amazing regarding smoking, like in a traumatic kind of way. Told me as a very small child that the line on my grandfather's leg was where they were going to cut off because he smoked. Good grief. Oh, have fun making apple pie, Steve. Oh my gosh, I gotta say I'm a bit jealous. Apple pies. Ah. Hey, Stanislav, hi. Never smoked a day in my life. Go, Granny, go. Did they really have to cut your poor grandpa's leg because of smoking? It makes you wonder what he was vaping. Yeah, that's what I first thought when I... You still have to... Yeah, you have to work all the cobalt color, technically. And no worries. I'm probably making another attempt at quitting for New Year's. Well, best of luck, and by all means, if you need some distraction and support and whatnot from an outside source, feel free to talk about it on the Discord server. I'm definitely in support of anyone who wants to try to stop smoking. It's just not nice. In general, like smoking. Doesn't smell very good. It's kind of pricey, and it's not made in a very nice way either. Which is true. He had the leg amputated due to poor circulation and gangrene. Good grief. Oh, the spit cups. Oh my god, Heather. Steve says stop over when they are done. Oh man. I cannot have with ice cream because of my dairy thing, but dude, a fresh apple pie out of the oven. Oh, wow. Enjoy them for us. Yeah, but to go back to what Heather is saying. Heather is saying snuff / chewing tobacco, I think, is fairly common here in the South. So gross with those spit cups. I think if I ever see a spit cup in real life, I'm either gonna puke right away or walk out white as a sheet. I don't do spit very well. Oh man, you too, Ellen. What's with all the apple pies, guys? Hey, Abel, hi. I love how the discussion goes from something absolutely disgusting to something absolutely awesome. Spit cups and apple pies. Ooh, new type of apple. The cosmic. I tried an ambrosia one at the store the other day, and they are really awesome. They stay really nice and crisp. Oh, you can eat it. That's awesome, Tsukabu. Judging by the price I recently paid for some apples, I'll bet a lot of people are baking. Meaning that the apples are inexpensive right now, or that they are pricing up the apples because they know people want to bake with them. Oh no, Heather, you've lost me there. I can't. Thanks for that, Heather. Yeah, pretty much. I will chase that out of my brain by drinking some really hot chocolate. Okay, cats! Like I said, I don't do spit really well. Pico is being super helpful by removing the gum arabic from the brushes before wrapping them up. And Scout has not enough fingers to wrap whatever she's wrapping. Oh yeah, you didn't miss your bang. Heather says, well, I had to come back to chat with a bang. You came back with a bang and with a blah. Oh, that's pretty cool. Amisha, I'm going to be making cookies with my grandbaby for Christmas again this year, using the cookie book from my childhood. Oh, and you know these cookies are great. You know the cookies are awesome. Because, like, old cookie books are the best. Old recipes, they're like... They don't put a million ingredients that make no sense in there. It's like super basic, super good, tested and true. Hey, Carolyn, please talk about that cool red pencil you have there. This one? It's actually pink. I don't know if it shows up as red on the camera, but it's super bright PR 122 pink. Like a magenta, like definitely definitely given to me by someone who knows me. And in this case, Otto. It's a really cool pen. Well, basically all the cool pencils are from Japan, honestly. There's one brand that's American that I quite like, and it's Alvin. I quite like their Draftmatic pens like this. But aside from that, I mean, most really like high-tech, nice pens, I keep saying pen, but I mean pencil, are from Japan. Like this is a Kurutoga, also Japanese. I have a bunch of them, but they're all from Japan. And this one is pretty cool because it's really, it has a great hold. It has really long... here, a needle for the lead, I would say, like this. This is quite handy, and it can work like just a regular thingy that you press the top and the lead comes out, but you can also unlock a shaker feature. Hold on, like this, and there's basically a weight in there, and when you shake the pencil like that, supposedly, yeah, the lead comes out, so you can go shake, and lead will come out. So if you're like super in the zone and you don't want to waste any time by going back, you just like shake, and then you have more lead. I love that we refer to colors by pigment number. It's much more precise, and you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I know. Heather says, as a former nurse, nothing bothers me. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't think there's a lot of... I'm not a former nurse, and I'm really queasy around certain things. There are other things that don't really bother me, But everything that is about spit and more than spit, like everything that is out of a mouth, I'm really, really not good at dealing with it. Just, I don't know why. I'm trying to catch back on chat. Kabu says, making soft molasses cookies with puppies mindering around will be interesting this year. It's gonna be quite a challenge. I wonder if you'll end up with flowery puppies and cookies with paw prints on them. Misha says, my daughter-in-law not only tracked down the book, she got me a first edition for Christmas last year. Oh, that is so thoughtful. Oh my gosh. Oh man. That's a really good gift. That's awesome. Exactly. Carolyn says we nurses are definitely used to bodily fluid discussions and we forget others aren't. Oh, good grief. Mikey says, I was pre-med for a couple of years and we used to do dissections with one hand in a glove and the other hand eating pizza. So I don't know. Nothing gets to me. Yeah, obviously. Good grief. Hey, Rowdy! Hi! Heather is like, where to sit? Cat, 50-pound dogs, 90-pound dogs, 100-pound dogs, cat. Oh, look, a corner! Grab that corner, quick! Who the heck can say anthraquinone anyway? I love those, I gotta say. I consider it a personal challenge to try and see these weird, like, naphthol and nephtamide and anthraquinone and indanthrone. They are words that are absolutely not friendly to, like, dyslexic people or whatnot, because, like, take phthalo, PHTH. Why? Why? Why is it like that? Oh my gosh. Heather, please don't. I could send half the chat hurling with a couple of stories I have. Oh, no, thank you. I don't have that kind of constitution. I know that a lot of it is being confronted to the situation itself. Because in terms of hypothetical, a lot of stuff often appears worse or appears unsurmountable. But when you're facing the situation, like I hear a lot of story in that sense when people get kids. Like sometimes they will say like prior to having kids, oh, I really can't deal with this, I really can't deal with that. And then they have kids and give them a year or two and then they're like, I used to be unable to deal with that, but when you have to deal with it on the spot and take care of a kid and clean up some kind of mess, you sort of don't really think about how gross it is anymore. You just do it, get it done, and move on to the next thing. Like, I can see that, but yeah, hypothetically speaking, I'm really not good with certain situations. Maybe denotes a spitting sound. Possibly. It's spitting blue and spitting green, and it's just weird. Like, I know it's like chemistry, it moves on to another realm of knowledge, but it's just so weird to me that it ended up being PHTHALO. Like, you see that? It's a bit like the the Roman small paint with the unpronounceable name. Which I read the comments and it's something like Pishbish Gray or something, but there's like no vowels in there. And you're like, whoa. Dealing with things for ones you love makes the difference. Yeah, I guess you're right, Steve. That's a good way to put it. Like in the hypothetical, it doesn't really register as something you would do on your own, but when you have to help someone or when you are facing that situation, really sometimes there's another kind of instinct that pops up that is not the hypothetical first impression you get. Carolyn says, what helps me with such tasks is just think of breaking the offending substance into its chemical composition. That's quite clever. That's really quite clever. Grumbacher labels their PV19 phthalo red in the Academy range. They didn't care. Like, phthalo. According to search, it comes from naphtha. That's interesting. Thanks, Stephen. Oh wow. I gotta get a bit more done on this doodle. Like I'm talking and catching up with chat and not sketching all that much. It's a very pretty version of PV19. Oh, that's good to know. Is it the Grumbacher? Oh, the Academy. I have no idea what palette I'm gonna use to paint this. So if you have suggestions... Hey, Semruz. Hey, Joy. Welcome. Pico is my cat. I've had her for 8 years and I still struggle with figuring out her color patterns on her face. Like I can't remember it. I know there is some white, I know there is some like orange tabby, but what is where, that's where I'm like, don't remember. And when you try to look at her, she sleeps with her face hidden. So it's like, well, I don't know. Oh, no problem, Patricia. Chaos is doing a face plant against the side of the pillow. Aww. So apologies, Pico, but I will once again improvise for your really cute little pattern, but I just can't remember any of it. I need to do studies, like charts of Pico's pattern. She also has that white spot on her back. Yeah, oh my gosh, when Pico sleeps, that always cracks me up. I gotta doodle that because that's, in my opinion, really funny. But We have two cats, just a bit of context. Scout is of the burrowing type. She likes to burrow under blankets, under... name it. She will get under it, and she likes to sleep under it and create her own bubble of warmth in there. So we have one cat that is like under the blanket. Like, you have a cat there who sleeps under the blanket. And she's like super happy, and she gets there on her own, which is kind of pretty impressive considering that she's just a tiny cat. But Peko, she likes to sleep in the most compact circle she can be. Like, she really, really like compact herself. And she's always have her face hidden either under her paw, she has her paw over her face, or she has her tail, or both. But she's like super compact. The only thing that sort of goes out of the circle shape is like her ear, because her ear actually more like that. That's the only thing she like compacts, and then she's like this tight little donut, and it really cracks me up. And I keep calling her the Arctic fox when she does that, because that's kind of how Arctic fox keep their warmth in the cold. They get really compact. They get really round and compact, and they use their super floofy tail to sort of heat up their face. So I'm like, Peko, you are a fox in another life, clearly. Bruiser and Tupper like to sleep on their backs. Oh wow, these guys are not stressed for one bit. Not stressed at all. Oh, can anyone tell me the difference in hues and pigment between phthalo blue and Prussian blue? Why have both? Or phthalo green and viridian? Okay, two things. Phthalo blue, Prussian blue is PB27. It's one you kind of get to know really fast because it's always the same pigment. It's a kind of slightly muted greenish blue. Phthalo blue, you usually have two main variants of it. Phthalo as a base, let's say, is PB15. But then you have PB15 colon 3. I've seen colon 6, and I've seen colon 1. I think colon 3 and colon 1 are the most common. And people in the chat can correct me, other paint makers, but as far as I remember, the colon 3 is the green shade. So you will have a really, this one is not muted one bit. It's a really vibrant, it's a really in-your-face blue. And colon 3 is going to be a bit greenish, and colon 1 is going to be a bit reddish. So you can have a split complementary palette and have both phthalos on it, and it will cover all you need in terms of blue. They usually put phthalo blue green shade and ultramarine to cover that split complementary, but if you don't like the granulation of ultramarine, you can use phthalo blue red shade. I don't know if that explains it a bit. And the thing with phthalo green and viridian is that most company will actually have a viridian hue, which is PG7, which is phthalo green, blue shade. Because phthalo green comes also in two shades. Phthalo green, the yellow shade is PG36, and the blue shade is PG7, so they are completely different pigments. This one, the PG7, the blue shade, is the one that is often used for viridian, but actual viridian is PG18, I think, and it's very granulating. It has a much weaker tinting strength, and it's usually more expensive too. While this one is a green yellow that is also really quite nice, but that is really not the same as this one. Hey, welcome back, Phoebe. funny, Tsukabu. Tsukabu says Phthalo Blue Green Shade has a happy face. It has a, you know, this kind of face, like the cat face. And Colin 1, Red Shade looks like someone who's done with all this. That's awesome. Lee says Prussian blue is much more neutral than phthalo, so it will mix mossier greens and plummier purple. Yeah, it's really more muted, so when you try to mix vibrant colors, it's not gonna work as well. Or well, you're in the right place to talk about watercolors. This is good. What has Chaos done again? Yeah, that's true. Phoebe says sometimes one of the better ways to learn watercolors is through online. There's a lot of resources out there. That's very true, and with something like YouTube you can also find videos, because I know people sometimes they learn better with like visual, like in real-time demonstrations, and some other people are fine with like books or written demonstration. But there are certain things, like if you want to showcase how paint can move in water, it's not really interesting to do it if it's not a video. Like, that's when it gets impressive. When you see it move, you're like, oh, okay, I see. There is not really any way to post photos in YouTube chat, but if you are interested, we have set up a Discord server, which is basically a platform for chatting. And you can create an account, it's free, and you can join up the Discord server, and there's a few channels over there, and there is one that's specifically about sharing pet pictures or animal pictures. The link is in the description if you're interested. You just have to click on the link, and if you don't have an account for Discord, it will take you through the process of creating one. It's really simple, it's really straightforward, and it's a lot of fun. It's where we keep discussions going during the week. Hey, it's okay, hi! Will you ever try to make your own pigments and then making paint out of them? Not really, because I am not a chemist. A lot of pigments are either like from a chemical point of view, or the ones that are found in nature, as far as like ochres and siennas and all of that, or the nature pigment that comes from plants. I live in Montreal. And I don't have a car and I don't drive, so I'm kind of limited in regards to that. Of course, if I were to move somewhere where I would have access to like rocks and plants and stuff, perhaps I would try my own. But at the moment, that's not a consideration. Sorry. That's a bummer. Phoebe says, an art museum where I live has offered a few watercolor classes, but I noticed a lot of the students are a tad snobbish and look down upon beginners. Oh, I can't. That's really something that I can't manage. I don't deal with that kind of BS, sorry. The thing is that in terms of learning, where you learn or what you get your information from doesn't matter as much as your drive to learn, in a way. Because ultimately, the way you get there doesn't really matter. It's actually getting there that is kind of the point, I find, personally. Not getting there like the finished painting, but learning. Like, however you learn is fine. If you learn by going to class, that's fine. If you learn by going online That's perfectly fine too. So, like nowadays with the internet and everything that's available online, if you have the motivation to learn, you don't need a class. Lee says, apparently if you soak some lichens in ammonia, you can make a hot pink opera natural pigment. What? So I need to move somewhere where there's lichen. Seems like watercolor is a bit elitist for some people. Yeah, oddly enough, because it used to be that watercolor was not even considered a legit form of artistry. I think quite some time ago, a long time ago, people saw watercolor more as a way to like do studies, do sketches, but you would never do a finished piece in watercolor. And it took some actual artists like Turner and I don't remember which ones, but there was a shift at some point where watercolor became like a legit art form, but for a long time it was not. So it's kind of funny now to see watercolorists being snobby about that, because it's like, dude, where are you from? Ah, that's awesome, Tsuku. I hope you enjoyed the new supplies. Why did they emerge from the womb as perfect artists? Probably. Little Ev is going for a hike this summer. Yeah, I'm gonna have a trip to northern Canada and come back with like garbage bags full of lichen. Rhodonite is probably a stone. So it's probably not... If it comes from plant, usually it's more of a dye. And if it comes from stone, it's usually more light fast. Usually being the keyword here, but yeah. I have a book on Turner that I quite like. Oh, Ellen, that sounds so familiar. Ellen says, so I've been grumbling to myself where my tiny brush is for like 10 minutes. Guess where it is? Behind my ear. Sigh, yeah. Or you know when you search your glasses and they're on your face? That's one of my favorite too. Or another one that I find myself doing quite frequently and always makes me laugh is whenever I don't have my glasses on, so everything is blurry, and I have this reflex of pushing my glasses up my nose so I can see better, but I don't have my glasses on, so I just poke the bridge of my nose, and I'm always like, oh yeah, I don't have any glasses on. Oops. It kind of makes me funny. Makes me laugh. I am very slow today. That's okay. Well, that's okay. I have kind of a deadline today because I have a lot of stuff to do, but I'm still good. Lichens are everywhere. Among others is Usnea beard lichens that do the pink thing. I know they're everywhere, but you still need trees and rocks and nature to have them grow. And I don't have that much here. Empty nose poking. What? What? Oh, I will check it out. Thanks, Stephen. write it down. Black and white Turner YouTube movie. So, whoa, that surprised me. Carolyn says, did anyone like the recent film about Turner that came out a few years ago, starring Wormtail? I don't think I've seen it either. I don't even think I've heard of it. For those who are possibly confused, Wormtail is a character in Harry Potter. Because not necessarily everyone is familiar with Harry Potter. I used to love it a lot more when I was younger. Now I'm kind of just meh. Kind of same thing happens with Star Wars for me right now. I'm just not exactly psyched about it. It was called Mr. Turner. Yeah, Phoebe, there's a bit of that too. Yeah, sorry. I remember when the first Harry Potter movie came out, I must have seen it like 10 times in cinema. It was shown at one specific theater back then that cost like $3 to see the show. So yeah, I mean, even on my teen/young adult allowance budget, whatever, I could easily like grab $3 to go see the movie, and I saw it a lot of times. I was quite impressed with it. But as time went on, it got to be more and more serious, and I got to be less and less in it. I still like read all the books, and I enjoyed them at the time, but there's some book that I read once and haven't touched since then, so I finally decided to give them away. I'm not big on Marvel comics and movies. Not all of them. Those I like, I really, really, really like. And the rest of them, I just forget about them. Oh. A really fab sewing machine. What is it, Susan? Oh, that's awesome, Tsukabu. I was really into Star Wars when I was a teen. But yeah, not so much after the prequels and then the new movies and then all of it. I'm just not exactly my jam anymore. I saw a video on YouTube where they made a pigment out of a flower and looked a bit like potter's pink. Oh, that's interesting. The difference would probably be that potter's pink is more light fast. But yeah, making pigments from plants it's a pretty awesome process. I've been rewatching the Captain America movies. They are my fav. Dude, Winter Soldier is so good. Movie run is not as awesome as book run. Definitely. Even Hermione. A pfaff quilt expression. Ooh. Ooh, I didn't know you were into quilting. Sorry. It's annoying that our generation movie makers have tried to make things dark and gritty. Grimdark. I call it grimdark because it makes me laugh. As if that somehow makes the story better, it doesn't. Oh, you're talking about the DC movies? They're so bad. They're so bad. Oh man, I saw Justice League recently and it was so boring. The only thing I liked was The Flash. It's the only bit of chemistry in there, but oh my gosh, what a bore. That's really awesome, Tsukubu. Ah, that's pretty awesome, Ellen. It's really nice that you helped that guy through comics. Oh man. Well, Wonder Woman is DC and Black Panther is Marvel. I haven't watched Black Panther yet. Hey! Oh, hi, Mark! You sneak in the chat? How you been, Mark? Oh man, friends you can nerd out with are really friends you gotta keep. Oh man, I love a good nerd out. Hey, on horseback, hi! Well, that's perfectly fine. I have never watched a Marvel or DC movie in my life. No problem with that. I still haven't watched Citizen Kane either. I know I should watch it, but when I was in high school, they had us read To Kill a Mockingbird, and then they had us watch the 1960-something movie with Gregory Peck. And I was so obsessed with all movies with Gregory Peck for a while. Oh man, I would go to the local HMV and look at the VHS selection to try and find movies with him in it. The first one I found was Roman Holiday, and I watched it so many times. I've watched it so much. It's such a good movie though. It's fun. You'll have to share pictures of your Lego Harry Potter world, Tsukabu. on the Discord. That's gonna be really fun to see. Oh, awesome! You joined Discord, Susan. Yay! Oh, hold on. Are there any mods? I am dying. Oh, awesome! Thank you. I have never watched Hitchcock's Spellbound with Gregory Peck. I guess I should also add it to the list. I've watched Moby Dick, I've watched Roman Holiday, of course To Kill a Mockingbird more than once. Oh, that's so cool! Whoa! Ellen says, the video store I worked at, we had an actors section, so you could buy them based on your favorite actor. That's really clever. Oh, yay, you're still there, Heather. Cool, cool. Thank you. I know there is some mixed opinions about To Kill a Mockingbird. At the time I read it, I really enjoyed it. I still really enjoyed it. I love the movie. But yeah, I'm not in that situation either. Like, I live in Canada. There are a lot of elements out there in that book and movie that are really like foreign to me and not necessarily something I would you know, like think of right away. Hey, welcome back, Amisha. Well, that's why Scout is called Scout. It's in big part because of To Kill a Mockingbird. To Kill a Mockingbird was one of the first movies I've watched where the female character was kind of awesome, actually. Yeah, I was looking for a mod. Otherwise, I would have gone to get my mouse, but... What's How to Kill a Mockingbird about? Oh, is someone in the chat possibly more... in a better position than me trying to because I could try, but it's probably gonna be a massacre of the English language. But yeah, Scout was like one of the first characters that I read in a book where like she was a girl, she was cool. And it was set, you know, not in contemporary times, like it's set in, I don't know, the 60s something, I don't know. And that kind of really impressed me because I was like, oh, cool. And also how, you know, there's a lot of Scout's character, like there's a point where she diffuses a situation by being really honest about the situation. And that's something that really left an impression on me. It's set in the 30s. Okay, thank you so much. It's really, really interesting, and there are many like subplots that are really also interesting with Boo Radley and all of that. So yeah, it was like I can absolutely see why they have us read that when we were in high school, even if we're not, like, even if this is Canada and not the US. And yeah, the movie sort of really helps sell it too. Like Gregory Peck's performance, their situation as a family, which is fairly different. The whole neighborhood, anyway. You want to change your name to Boo? Boo Campbell? Aww. It's really great. He was the perfect Atticus Finch. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good book to read as a teen also because you're kind of growing and you're sort of forming opinions. And reading that book was also kind of... it sort of shows you that like sometimes the opinions you have or you grown up with might be not very true. So it's just, you know, it's a really it's a really interesting book to read, if anything. The author, it was the only book she wrote for a really long time. And then like a couple of years ago, this year, the year before, she wrote a sequel, and she passed not very long after that. And that boo Campbell, just boo. So when I walk in a room, everyone will just go boo. Oh, hi, boo. Sorry. Oh yeah, the book is really, really good. The book has a lot more content than the movie, but the movie has Gregory Peck, so it's tough choice. Both. You read the book, then you watch the movie. So gotta wait for this to dry a bit before I erase and add a bit of color on that. I still haven't chosen a palette. I don't think I cannot stay super duper long, but hopefully this shouldn't be a very long thing to paint. I haven't read the sequel. I kind of don't want to read it because I kind of want to keep this this image of the this impression I have of the original, well, the first book when I originally read it. So I don't know. That is the Pentel brush pen. It is waterproof. The drying time will change a bit depending on the paper you use. And I know that sometimes when it's on, this is Arches cold press, so sometimes it takes a bit longer to dry. But I use the Pentel brush pen on everything. And I've never really had the three papers I use the most. So the Arches cold press, like this one, this ready cut paper, and the B paper, I don't have any issues. You just gotta make sure it dries. Like sometimes when I ink a thing, especially on this one, I think I will ink it and then I will leave it for like 12 hours just to be sure. Like I ink and the next day I will paint. Just because I want to be absolutely sure that it dries. But once it's dry, it is waterproof. Are they making remakes of To Kill a Mockingbird and Catcher in the Rye? I don't think I've read Catcher in the Rye though. I really hope they don't do a remake of To Kill a Mockingbird. The sequel... I think I heard Amazon is making a Silmarillion show. No, they aren't making... Oh, whew, okay. I hope they won't. It was such a different context too, like... small village in the south. Like, I guess they could sort of do a reimagining, but I think it would be so much more depressing. Hey, welcome back, Heather. What is Franny and Zooey? Come on, dry. And how could they find another Gregory Peck? Yeah, that's a big issue. They've tried remakes of Sound of Music. Ugh. Nope. Casablanca with Shia LaBeouf and Scarlett Johansson. Oh, poor Shia, though. He's such in a weird place. Poor guy. It's really funny, though. Why not Johnny Depp? Oh, please no. Please stop. Okay, so let's try erasing and cross our fingers that it doesn't smudge all over the place. Go delicately. Funny thing that I noticed with the Pentel brush pen is when I used it on a cellulose paper sketchbook. I think it was possibly a moleskin watercolor sketchbook. It was completely waterproof. That was not the weird thing, but it would transfer. Say I had an ink drawing on one page. Well, the very slight rubbing of the sheets together would transfer some of the black ink on the other paper. I thought that was pretty peculiar. Ed Sheeran. Yike. By J.D. Salinger, about a brother and sister in New York. Huh. Yeah, Johnny Depp needs to be stopped. Oh, Heather. I love Chaos so much. Such a good boy. I had no sort of knowledge of who Johnny Depp was prior to watching Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, I saw Pirates, probably the first one when it came out. It was pretty epic. And I was like, whoa, that's a good movie. That's pretty intense. And then at some point I saw interviews with him on YouTube. And I was like, oh, so he's basically playing himself when he plays Jack Sparrow. I thought it was a character, but that's just Johnny Depp. And I was like, oh, not a very hard role for him, I guess. And ever since then, like, he's only been a bit crazy. And there was some kind of shady story about how he treated his wife or whatnot, which is never good. Again, I forgot. I always forget at least one line somewhere. They're doing to him what they did to Jim Carrey, putting him in everything they can well beyond his time. Put a few years on Chris Evans. I don't know, it doesn't have the gravitas of Gregory Peck. I mean, Chris Evans is a technically a puppy. Not in terms of age, but in terms of like general behavior, mindset, I don't know. Depp based it mostly on Keith Richards. He did, but like I thought Johnny Depp was like, I don't know how to say this, but it's let me say it just like, I thought he was a regular human being. But he's pretty, you know, he has the same kind of mannerisms that Jack Sparrow has. He made it like, he pushed it further for Jack Sparrow, but a lot of Jack Sparrow is in Johnny Depp as well. Like, I was expecting more of a difference between Jack Sparrow and Johnny Depp, but not that much. North of 40, maybe. Maybe. I love Chris Evans. He makes me happy. It's one of the few celebrity Twitters that I follow. First of all, because he really doesn't post that often. And it's usually either really happy stuff or stuff that I kind of agree with, or stuff like pictures of his puppy. He has a dog. So yeah, it's like no problem with that. Okay, so palette. No one has suggested anything. So I'm like a pale weirdo playing yet another pale weirdo. Yeah, this is oddly accurate. White Knights. My White Knight set is really not super friendly to my desk because it's so big. It's a huge set and I'm always like, ah! Autos paints, I would, but I don't think I have enough to be able to paint a Torty and Pico with those. I'm trying to think. I need some. I need a paint set that can offer some Torty and. Oh, that's kind of smudgy here for some reason. And I did one with Autos paints. It was the two little cats in purple mage robes. M. Graham. It would work well, but it is also kind of a big palette. Hold on. Like, can I fit it on here and still have space for the camera? Ugh. No, don't fall. It's kind of a big palette. I don't have any primer marketing sets at the moment. And I don't have any palette with Daniel Smith paints in it either. Oops, sorry. Yeah, well, it's not new. Talking to art supplies. I do that often. Okay, will that fit? Oof. Oof, it's a tight squeeze. Yeah, okay, can try this. I am Freuding to schminke? What? Ah, my finger is bothering me. So these are really intense colors. I will look for a brush for 15 minutes before I find the one I'm looking for. It's basically how this goes. I don't have Arteza watercolors, I think. I think Arteza... Oops, sorry, is the palette too bothersome? I know that with the... Oh, the camera angle is not... Is it a bit better? It's kind of difficult because the camera really sort of distorts. That's a huge palette. Hold on, I need to catch up on chat. There's been a few things happening. Oh, you don't like the opera colors? That's okay. I mean, they're not for everyone. I fully understand that. That's a huge palette, but it's basically all... Wow, my brain is completely lapsing on me. Oh, M. Graham paints. It's lapsing on me because I was looking at the chart I painted here. And here I have some cobalt violet. That's the tube we were looking at earlier. This dried nugget. And I remember that Otto really had a hard time re-wetting the one in her thing. And that's the color it's supposed to be. Which is very different from the color that Otto was able to get from the dry nugget. So that distracted me. I was like, whoa! Oh man, I love opera. The palette itself is a Korean metal palette. Hyungil, Heungil. These are so saturated, that's just... Hey, Mark! Hi! You guys, if you have... we were talking about plant-made pigments earlier. Mark is kind of very, very knowledgeable about that. Because he has the Texas Wildcolor paint range that he makes himself. Oh, I'm so sorry, Heather. That sounds like it's been difficult. Yeah, the difference between the swatch... I need to possibly... I should try my... That's kind of funny because it's... Is it... Can you see my... Well, you can see my finger, but... Nope. Anyway, I will start by painting and then we can sort of mess around with stuff. The main issue I find with M. Graham color is not really a real issue, but it's that they are so intense that most of the time, like, you start painting and you're like, oh, this is too strong, I need to water it down. Like, it's not a real problem to have. It's just kind of a... You need to readjust your expectations because there's a lot of pigment in there. But yeah, I was looking at my the blob of cobalt violet that I put in my palette, and it's still sticky. Like, it looks like it's still good, you know. So I really have no idea why the tube dried as a really hard blob, a nugget. Would cobalt violet be a good shadow color for foliage and trees? Yes. It's a beautiful color. Oh, would you like? I could try to put the palette away, Heather. I don't want to hurt your vision. But if you have post-its, that could also be an option. It's not exactly the shade of orange I was necessarily going for, but I'm not super used to this palette, so... Hold on, I will swatch the cobalt violet for sure. I just need to finish putting down the orange before it dries. But yeah, sure, no problem. Looking for some scrap paper. Hold on. So this is the cobalt violet on my palette. It's really not the same thing. Like, it's so different that I'm like, is it really the is it the proper color? It should be. That's kind of more deserving of the name of jewel tone than the sad, sad dry nugget. This is a synthetic brush. It's a Princeton Glacier brush. Just a synthetic. Oh, they are great paints, honestly. I know I use a lot of Schmincke, but M. Graham is really one of my favorite brands, and I don't use them as much just because it's cumbersome to have the palette on my desk. Maybe I should be clever about this and come up with a palette, a smaller palette of fewer colors, just so I use them more. But as you guys can possibly see. This is very legit in terms of cobalt violet. It's a nice deep violet that granulates super prettily. It's beautiful, but it's very, very not the color that comes out of the nugget, which is a shame actually, because wow, that's beautiful. Like the color that Otto was able to get from the dry nugget was kind of a really, really, it was lighter than that, and it was kind of a bit more pinkish, and the nugget looked a bit more pink too. This is really more blue. So yeah, I don't know what's up with that. The thing is that with M. Graham, the good thing is that you don't need big wells. Maybe I should have been clever about that and use my Stephanie Law palette for M. Graham, because the wells are really small. So if I put some M. Graham in there, I'm gonna get a lot of bang for my buck. Yeah, it almost looks, it is very granulating, and it's a cool purple that is very similar to ultramarine violet. It's really, really nice color, honestly, and it's super granulating. It's just beautiful, but looks nothing like the color that came from, again, the nugget. I possibly enjoy calling it the nugget a bit too much. How is granulation used? Yeah, it can be used for texture. Sometimes it's really interesting. Oh, hey Joy, thank you so much for being here. Bye. You can use it for certain things that might make more sense with granulation, like rocks or ground. You know, anything that is more natural, like say you have the forest floor where there's leaves and dirt and all of that. I kind of like to use it for skies, because oftentimes skies are just like a big patch of color, and I like to have the texture in there, in the shadows. Hey, thank you so much for showing up, Mark. It's been so nice to see you. I hope you have a great weekend. How did Kamatz almost put someone in timeout, Heather? I really like calling it a nugget. That's what it was, right? It was like a nugget of purple. I think what I'm going to do, unless they want me to send them the problematic tube, but I will possibly keep it and use it as a decor element. It's so hard. Nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing. Oh yes, happy holiday to you, Mark. I hope you have a really great time. Oh, that's true. Yes, Stevie's right. Stevie says, my favorite way to use granulating paints is to make new color mixes. That's a really fun thing to do. You mix a granulating color with one that is staining, and it can really make something different. You can mix two granulating colors, and it's gonna create something really unique. One of my favorite mix is Caput Mortem and Cobalt Teal. I don't really have a need for that color on there. Will I be able to finish this painting before I have to go? Doubtful. Very doubtful. Are we having fun with paints? We are. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see, but I have kind of a neutral-ish color here. It's made from Terra Rosa and Cobalt Teal. Terra Rosa is a red pigment. PR 101, I think. But what's really fun with these kinds of mixes is, since Cobalt Teal is so granulating and the Terra Rosa from M. Graham is not, when the paint is going to settle on the paper, you're going to have areas that are going to be a bit more teal, you're going to have others that are going to be a bit more red, So it creates really lively colors for like neutrals that, instead of being really, really flat, they have a lot going on in there. They still read as a neutral. Like if you see something that is that color in a painting, you're not gonna think, oh, it's a messy blob of different colors. You're gonna think, oh, that's the stone of the wall. But it has all these subtle color shifts in there that makes it really interesting for the eye to look at. Yeah, exactly. Heather says, I wasn't sure about granulation initially, but have found that it adds a lot of visual interest to areas that are otherwise bland. Exactly. That's exactly what I agree. What's wrong with the tube? There's a problem with the formulation of the paint. And it has dried in the tube. And not because the tube was badly sealed. Like all my, I'm super careful about that. I always make sure, sometimes I go to bed and then I worry that I haven't closed up my tubes well enough, and I get up and I go close them. So, yes. And the thing is that there was a problem with the formulation of this specific batch of paint. And that had the effect of the paint drying super hard in the tube. It's basically like a rock in there. And that's what I call the nugget. Because you cannot do anything with that. Otto Cano, Dr. Otto Cano on YouTube here, has released a video today, I think, about M. Graham paints, and she had the same issue with her cobalt violet. It doesn't re-wet well, it stays really, really hard. Oh, Lise! Hi! I'm with you there, Heather. Heather says, I love mixing granulating and non-granulating colors. It is really exciting. I want to try another mix. I'm not going to be able to finish this painting, right? I'm going to have to go soon, so anyway. I'll finish this during the week and I will post it on Instagram and Patreon. But I want to try more mixes, because this is super fun. Let's say I take this cobalt violet again as this super granulating color, because it is super granulating. Oh, it's so pretty. Nothing to do with the nugget. And let's say I add a really contrasting kind of staining color to this. What could I use? I'm gonna try with the green. Which one? 1, 2, 3, 4. Sit. Ah. It is so sticky! What? It's been in there forever and it's still like really, really sticky. Another good tip, if you want to have granulation work really well, you need to have sufficient water in your paint. I'm grabbing more paper here, hold on. It's not nothing is collaborating. Why is that still under my wheel? Oh, bye, Amisha. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great weekend. Okay, let's see how this weird mix, if it separates somewhat. So from what I understand of granulation and the way it works is that certain pigments will end up having larger particles of pigment in them in certain paints. And the larger particle are going to be a bit heavier, so they're going to settle differently than the finer particle of something like a staining color. So since they settle differently, it's not going to look perfect on paper, because some particles are going to settle first and some are going to settle later, and they can settle in different areas. So it's like, I hope this will show somewhat well on camera, but we can kind of see it here. Like the green is a staining color, so it creates like a base greenish color, but in some areas you have like a sort of an intensity of purple that varies depending on how it's settled. It is sticky because of the honey, yes. So that's the really fun thing with granulating color, which is sort of why I cannot have a palette without cobalt teal on there. It's a really lovely granulating color, and you can mix it with other things, and it always creates like a purple mix from cobalt teal and a PV19, kind of a magenta color, is really interesting because it's gonna like it's gonna move, and it's gonna have this sort of life. That is, I'm gonna use whatever space I have on the palette, so it's not gonna be a very pure mix. It's gonna have some sort of leftover blue from I don't know what, but we should be able to see anyway. I'm gonna do this swatch and then I'm gonna have to go, so sorry about that. I'm really easy to sidetrack into paint talk because oh my god, it's fascinating. So this is gonna be like a bluish purple color that is made from cobalt teal, and cobalt teal is our granulating color and the PV19 is the staining color. So it's not gonna dry perfectly even. It's gonna have sort of this really interesting shift of color. You know, it's a bit when you look at printed media, and when you look really close at printed media, like with the what's the word I'm looking for? You know, the glass thingy to enlarge the view what you're looking at. It's a loupe in French. What is the English word for it? Oh. Yeah, that Heather says it much better than I can. Heather says sometimes the granulation works through flocculation, which is why a very wet mix applied and then not messed up, you don't touch it anymore, makes some of the best granulation. Oh, magnifying glass, thank you so much. Like if you look at printed media with a magnifying glass, you will see that the color is made from many dots of different colors. Well, it's kind of that effect that we can have with granulation. Like if you look from afar, it's gonna look a certain color generally, but when you get closer, I don't know if you guys can see, I hope it shows, but there's really like some areas are a bit more teal than some others because that's where the pigment decided to settle. The best mix I've seen of teal and sort of earthy red color is from Sennelier. Is my Sennelier palette nearby? Yeah, I'm all over the place. I know. I don't know why this mix works so well with these two variants of the colors, but it is very striking. I should make special live stream episodes where all we do is mix up colors. And then marvel at how color is beautiful. This is so gonna bite me in the neck. I have no idea why it works so well with these two, but it does work like marvelously well. It is such a beautiful neutral because it's really not bland and it's really not flat. And it's quite dark too, so you're not stuck with a really lightweight neutral. The Cobalt Violet Nugget epidemic is... Do you have a Cobalt Violet Nugget too? hope you not. I hope you don't. Yeah, that gray is just amazing. And it's so... oh, it has such a great texture. I would watch that. I might try it at some point because it would be fun. Like, we could have a general theme of color. Say, today we are talking about some warm reds, and we mix up a bunch of warm reds with other things and see what happens. That could be fun. Flocculation is the process of similar particles clumping together. Oh, thank you so much, Heather. Oh no! Ain't me, you're too having a nugget. Oh, I feel like M. Graham is gonna receive a lot of emails saying, "Oh, my cobalt violet is a nugget. Please help." It was really a faulty batch. Like, they made a batch of this color, and I don't know why. In my palette, it's perfectly fine. I don't know if you can see. I will try to. Sorry, Heather. I'm just gonna try to just. This is the cobalt violet. It's super sticky. It is not dry one bit, and I don't think it's even close to the same color as the nugget in there. Oh, okay, it's the similar color, but it is so hard. Why? What happened? It's so sad. So tired of Payne's Gray. Oh, we should have an episode on mixing neutrals. I don't use Payne's Gray. I like to mix my neutrals. I don't like to use pre-made neutrals. The only time I will use black is when I'm painting a black cat. That's the only time I use black from the palette. That is so weird. I wish I had poured more of that cobalt violet then. It would make me feel much better. I'm really sad. Aw. Why? Why did it get hard in the tube? That is so weird. Like, I've had malachite. I had a tube of malachite from Daniel Smith. And that was entirely a different nightmare because the compound of the malachite pigment, I think there was something in there that reacted with the tube, the metal. Like, it corrodes when it's in contact to metal. And the tube was metal, so it created a huge mess, and it was like full of clumps in there, and it was really yucky. But this, I have no idea why this happened. Well, the thing is that the paint is a nugget, so what you're getting out is hard paint. And it's hard. And I did that too, Amy. I was pinching all my other tubes. When I was looking for this one, I was like, whoop whoop, soft, whoop whoop, soft, whoop whoop, soft. And then I found this one, and I was like, please be soft, please be soft. But it was hard, and I was like, oh no. No! I didn't find any other that was hard. I even stumbled upon my cobalt teal, and it was still like soft, not like this one. Yeah, you can re-wet hard paint, but if you look at Otto's video with the nugget, she tried re-wetting the nugget, and it doesn't re-wet well for some weird reason. It makes no sense. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. Because now in the palette, it didn't dry hard. It dried sticky, like all other M. Graham paints. The only M. Graham paints that doesn't dry insanely sticky is their ultramarine blue, I think. Is it this one? 1, 2, 3. This one is... Anyway, they're all kind of sticky, so I don't want to really put my finger in there and have plenty of paint on my finger. But the cobalt violet, I briefly touched it earlier, and it was still sticky because I was worried that it would be super hard. But this is really hard. Oh yeah, Lana, you will you will totally get it, and you will be perhaps really surprised to see that the color that Otto can get out of the nugget by really working it has nothing to do with the actual color. I don't know. It's really sticky in the palette. I really don't know what happened. If I have any more info, I will definitely talk about it more, but for now, I've only wrote them saying like, is there a way I can salvage this? And they haven't replied yet, so I'll see. Hey, thank you so much, Howl's Art. Oh, Heather, your mind is in the litter box. So yeah, that's really weird. And I don't know if you can see, but there's some really lovely granulation happening on this one. This is what I like of these colors, because granulation, like if you paint a wall, a stone wall, it can be pretty boring, but if you can add in some of granulation, then instead of being a huge flat color, it's gonna have this life to it. I'm sorry, I bumped the mic. Yeah, same. Susan says, I find it weird that Cobalt Violet is really pinkish on Otto's video and really more of a blue-purple here. Me too. That's why when I swatched it, I was expecting it to be a bit more like ultramarine pink, possibly. But I was like, oh no, wait, this is ultramarine pink, this is my mineral violet, this is Cobalt Violet? Oh, wait a minute. So, yeah, I don't know what's up with that. That's a bit worrying. Oh yeah, you can blame it on the cats, Heather. And the dogs. Hey, Nancy! Hi! I'm almost done though, I have to go. There's quite a long list of errands to do for me today, so gotta get rolling with the rest of my day, sadly. That Cobalt Violet is PV14. It's a rock. Oh. M. Graham has really beautiful granulating colors, though really for some reason I haven't found a mix that beats Sennelier for the teal and Caput Mortem mix. I will see about getting Schmincke's version of the Caput Mortem color, but I know that the teal is not as granulating, so I might be able to get a similar hue for the gray, but it's not going to have the same texture. Oh, thank you so much, Nancy. Alright, I will do the end of show announcements. Not that I want to end it, but I have to end it, sadly. So, yeah, thank you so much everyone for being here today. It was a really fun time. I sketched and inked this, and I will finish painting it during the week and post it on Instagram and Patreon. We did some mixes and had fun with granulation. And yeah, I will possibly see about having some perhaps shorter live streams here and there about mixing colors, where we just sort of explore colors and mixes. I think that could be fun. And aside from that, again, I will mention the Discord server that is that we've made for the community, where you can hang out and chat with us. And there's all sorts of resources available there, from pet pictures to talking about knitting and crochet, and we talk about paint, we talk about paint making, we talk about art, we talk about Spoonies issues and all of that. So if you feel that would interest you, by all means, feel free to check it out. The link is in the description below. And it's free, you just have to create an account. If you don't have one, it's gonna take you through it. It's really easy, really straightforward. And it's a lot of fun, and we're quite a nice bunch over there. And hey, thank you so much for plugging the link, Heather. Heather has put the link in the chat. So, have a great weekend, everyone. Have fun, have the best of luck, and have fun, if possible, shopping for Christmas and baking for Christmas and all of that. And take care. We will see each other next weekend. Bye bye. Oh, and a great big thanks to the moderators, Heather and Otto, who did a really great job. So thanks, guys.